いいんだな。断罪の時間だ。何もかも憎いんだよ。
Sid vs. Varun. Do Camine.
Sid vs. Varun, Do Camine, or Two Scoundrels, is the Indian licensed version of Kenny vs. Spenny. It premiered on UTV Bindas on October 5th, 2009. UTV is the parent company, and Bindas roughly translates to carefree or cool. It was a youth entertainment channel launched in 2007 and bought out in 2012 by, get this, the Walt Disney Company. Can you imagine KvS or one of their spin-offs on Disney Plus? Sign me right the f*** up. As an English-speaking person, the language barrier isn't that thick on this series. The way they communicate is half English, half Hindi, and there are plenty of text-on-screen moments to fill in the gaps, making this series watchable for most English speakers. Sid is the Kenny character, described by Hindi TV as being a sophisticated and convincing bad guy who bends the rules while not breaking them completely. Varun, with the long hair, is the Spenny character, who is the perfect boarding school guy with deep-rooted values and ideals. Many of the international spin-off licensees compete using a majority of original KvS competition ideas. For example, Lose Weight, Handcuffed, and Convincing Woman. Let's review the KvS-inspired comps before reviewing the Sid vs. Varun originals. Who can lose the most weight? Weighing will happen before and after the competition. Can't lose weight surgically, including liposuction and amputation. Can't starve yourself. Varun plans to burn calories by going to the gym, kickboxing, martial arts, jogging, and running. Sid plans to bulk with food and fluids before the initial weigh-in. He also duct tapes devices to his back, he holds things in his armpits, and he hangs small weights by his ball sack. So immediately it strikes me as being much less authentic than KvS. He's just duct taping things to his body. He's not even trying to hide them. You can tell he did that just to get caught for purposes of comedy. And sure enough, Varun slaps his back at the weigh-in and feels the devices on there, but he doesn't find the testicle weights.
और ये जो वेट अभी गिरने वाला है नीचे.
So, Varun works out, Sid donates blood, Varun plays squash by himself, Sid buys a bunch of food to tempt Varun, who is obviously hungry after his workout, Sid wraps himself in plastic, Varun kickboxes in the house, not even in a gym with a punching bag, like he just flails around and screams. Sid gets a mani-pedi, Varun goes dancing, Sid takes a suppository laxative and plays video games on the toilet. Which, of course, nobody was playing video games on the toilet before Kenny did it. He was the first. Except for, like, kids on America's Funniest Home Videos who were playing Nintendo in their bathroom in 1992. At the final weigh-in, Varun has lost 1 kilogram, Sid has lost 2 kilograms. Sid's testicle weights were 200 grams each, so his total was actually 1.6 kilogram, making his whole scheme redundant anyway. Sid walks Varun like a dog, which Spenny did at the end of Beauty Pageant. So it's not a shot-for-shot remake, but it's very similar. I get it, though. It's lose weight. There's only so much that you could do differently to lose weight. One guy works out, and the other guy does anything but work out. Who can stay handcuffed the longest? It starts off as you would expect, but they do change it up to prevent remaking the KvS episode. They agree that at regular intervals, they will give tasks to each other which they must perform. The first thing I notice is that both guys wear sweatbands over their wrists. Why? It's supposed to hurt. That's the endurance part of it. Varun will wear earplugs and put Vicks in his nose to protect himself from what he calls bad smells. Sid makes the gross concoction for bad breath. Varun goes and sniffs something that makes him sneeze a lot. So then they annoy each other until they fight. He uses the toilet, but his underwear is still on. They horse around some more, and some more. So far it's shot for shot, minus the gazoo. Finally, the first and only task is given. A lady comes over and handcuffs herself to Varun's other arm. Which, you think she's going to be the wolfish character, but instead they all go begging together. The locals want them to go away.
Of course you are. You're saying you can feed a dog and a cow.
They have a birthday party for the lady. Varun becomes irritated at the party guests being in his room or something. There's enough half English to understand he wants them out.
It's a birthday party, man. I don't give a about the bloody birthday party, dude. Dude, just go and tell him to get out, dude.
And then after 12 hours, the sound guy arbitrarily decides that it's a draw because this is going nowhere.
Alright guys, it's a draw because our crew decided this is going nowhere and both of you will face humiliation.
So it's a double humiliation, with both guys having to dress up as women and dance. The ending seems kind of completely scripted. The crew's workday is over, so they end the competition there. They dress the guys like girls and make them dance, which isn't really a humiliation considering 3 episodes from now is who is the more convincing woman. Who can earn more money in a single day? The first big difference is that this takes place over the course of 1 day. Money has to be earned in a legitimate manner, no begging or borrowing. Both will receive 1,000 rupees as an initial investment. Money earned is counted at the end, and the one with the higher sum is the winner. So throughout the rest of this video, we're going to talk about money in Indian rupees. I've taken the liberty of converting rupees to Canadian at a rate approximate to summer of 2009. 1 rupee is 2.3 Canadian cents. That 1,000 rupee initial investment is $23 Canadian, 2009. We witness Sid circumvent the rules in real Kenny fashion for the first time. But it's not just a shot-for-shot remake. Sid manufactures donation boxes, but because Sid is not allowed to beg for money, he recruits a platoon of children to go do it for him. And the kids are aggressive too. When Sid's army of child hustlers return, they come back with 217 rupees. He rewards them by letting them take an item of their choosing from Varun's room, including a Superman doll, Lord of the Rings DVDs, and a cricket helmet. Varun hits the streets selling lemonade. When he can't make the sale, he begs.
Please, 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 please. Ah!
It's allowed because he's not begging for the money, he's begging for the sale. He makes 115 rupees. Sid gives creepy massages to 5 girls for 300 rupees each, and one gave him a 100 rupee tip for a total of 1,600 rupees. We see Varun go and invest in the stock market. Take a wild guess what's going to happen there. Varun taxis people on his motorcycle, 50 rupees. It says 50 here, and at the end of the episode, when they tally it up, it says 55, but whatever. Varun washes 3 cars, 50 rupees each. Varun house cleans, 250 rupees. Varun makes Rangoli art, 50 rupees. Varun teaches dancing for 500 rupees. Sid sells airtime like Kenny did. I think there's 10 people in this line. He takes 500 rupees from each of them, but only 3,500 rupees is tallied on the screen. These people aren't businesses, though. He's selling them audition time to be on Sid versus Varun. Only 3 of them even got on TV, so it should only count as 1,500 rupees. But I have a feeling that he's not going to be able to claim this money at the end. What do you think? Varun comes home in the middle of the auditions, and he knows that Sid cannot audition anyone without his permission. He just barges in and proclaims that.
You cannot audition anyone, absolutely anyone, without taking my permission.
He calls someone, I'm guessing a lawyer, and the lawyer confirms it. And wouldn't you know it, Varun's accountant sold off his stock that he bought, and he was able to collect 1,900 rupees. After deducting expenses, Sid's total is 1,817 rupees, and Varun's total is 2,020 rupees. So Varun chooses to humiliate Sid by making an underwear-steeped tea, which he doesn't even swallow.
Nice. Nice.
Who can win the most mini competitions? Who can pee the longest? Sid uses a small bottle to cheat. Varun doesn't catch him cheating. Sid wins. Who can drink more aloe vera shots? They drink the shots. Varun wins. Who has the stronger arm? Sid wins. Who can stay without blinking the longest? Sid wins. Who can snort more vanilla ice cream? What? Sid has a plan to snort the ice cream, throw the bowl, then have a tantrum and scream at the crew. The only reason for doing all that, which takes up a significant amount of screen time, by the way, is to scare Varun into not doing it, which doesn't work, and Varun does it, but Sid wins anyway. Who can climb a tree the farthest? They both climb to the exact same spot, and Sid wins because he's slightly taller. Who can bench press the most? They each bench press the other guy while he's wrapped up in a bedsheet. Sid wins. Who can win a sack and tricycle race?
On the marks. 1, 2, 3, go.
They just have a race in the road. Cars and motorcycles pass them. Sid wins. Who can win a duck race? I like the physical comedy here, and I want to share it with you, but I have to provide commentary in order to use it. The molecular structure of water is that of two hydrogen atoms, each forming a polar covalent bond with one oxygen atom. Oxygen shares electrons with each hydrogen atom, but due to oxygen's higher electronegativity, it pulls the shared electrons closer, creating a partial negative charge on the oxygen and a partial positive charge on each hydrogen. It is a transparent, tasteless, odorless, and nearly colorless chemical substance. It is the main constituent of Earth's hydrosphere and the fluids of all known living organisms. Varun wins. Who can whistle the longest? Varun wins. Who can stay underwater the longest? This one's a little bit confusing. There's more to it than just holding breath. They have to open a locked box. Sid becomes disqualified for giving Varun the wrong keys or something like that. Varun gets the point. Who can hitch a ride the fastest? For this one, they have to get a ride and also convince the driver to let them drive. Then the first one to get to Mega Mall wins. Sid wins. Who can find maximum change for a 1,000 rupee note? They go around asking for change, and then they weigh the change on scales. Varun wins. At this point, Sid wins 8-5, and he makes Varun scrub the toilet with a toothbrush and then brush his teeth with no toothpaste. Who can be a more convincing woman? Again, they do this one a bit different from KvS. The structure of the competition will not be judged by a panel of women, but by earning points and performing for a single male judge. Do 3 tasks worth 10 points each. A marriage broker will decide who makes a perfect bahu. A bahu is a daughter-in-law, especially one who lives with her husband's family. The final task is worth 30 points. Varun will get some help to become a trendy Indian woman of today. Sid considers women to be either hot, hotter, or potaka.
Pataka.
He wants to be potaka.
Pataka.
So he enlists Suzanne from Armenia to help him become.
Pataka.
Both guys source women's clothing, they get make-upped and waxed. Varun kind of looks like Rachel Weisz from The Mummy, and Sid looks like a man. And the tasks are, who can be a better model? Varun. Who can sell more sanitary pads? Sid. Who can attract more eyeballs?
This just proves that I'm clearly the more convincing woman.
Sid. Finally, the last portion of the competition where they each act as a bahu. They bring hot drinks and cookies, they initiate conversation, they flatter him with compliments, and they entertain with dance. The marriage broker picks Sid as the winner. They go with a copycat humiliation from the original convincing woman. Varun acts like a lady of the evening and tries to pick up men after dark. And eventually he does get picked up. Who can piss more people off? They come up with a different scoring structure than the one on KvS. It's not 1 point per person anymore. Walking away is 5 points. Abusing is 10 points. Beating us up is 20 points. Hurling objects is 25 points. And interestingly, smiling back is -5 points. I don't know what the front of Varun's sandwich board says, but the back says women are stupid. Sound familiar? We can better understand the scoring structure here. This woman walks away, 5 points. This woman tells him to take this and that's abuse, 10 points. This lady scribbles out the W and the O so it says men are stupid. Then he gives her an apology letter. She throws it at him, and then he gets whacked by a policeman. Then he does something original, finally. He hides an IV bag on his body and pretends to pee on people. Then he sprays people with shaving cream and a guy chases him down. After Varun wipes out, it's just a prank bro's his way out of it. Then he acts like a crazy person with a machete, which, I gotta say, Indian people are a lot more chill than I would be about being run up on a guy with a machete. 0 fucks given. Sid won't let people in the elevator. Eventually they gang up on him. Oh, and this guy smiles, so -5 points. Then he throws dirty water on people's cars. Then he catches a guy peeing in public. It's common for policemen to punish on the spot in India instead of arresting. Many times it's a physical exertion punishment, like push-ups or sit-ups. I'm guessing Sid is pretending to be a policeman and making this guy do squats as punishment. Then he blocks traffic. Then he sets up a big plan to piss off Varun, which I don't think it worked. Varun ends up winning, and he makes Sid endure his bad breath, which was also the humiliation from blindfold. Who can endure more torture? This one is also different from the original. They take turns giving each other a torture task for the chance to earn a point. If the task is completed, the guy earns a point. If not, the task issuing guy gets the point. Sid drinks 5 shots of Tabasco Mirchi, which comes in at 7,000 to 8,000 on the Scoville heat unit scale. For reference, regular Tabasco comes in at 3,750 according to this chart from Sriracha To Go. Sid gets the point. Varun receives 50 spankings. He takes the spanking kicking and screaming the whole way, and he earns the point. Sid receives 30 electric shocks. Sid takes it and earns the point. Because of the structure of this torture competition, Sid can't fake it or bail out of tortures. So instead of adopting the straight Kenny strategy of letting Varun win, he indicates that all of the tortures he will impose on Varun are as humiliating as possible. Varun cleans the public toilets and earns the point. Varun goes again, having to stick 20 candles to his body. Sid must pull 10 hairs from his nose. Varun doesn't specify where on the nose, so Sid plucks 10 of those tiny invisible hairs from the skin of the nose. Varun doesn't accept it, and he takes the point from Sid. And finally, Varun must wear a diaper with ice cubes in the groin for 1 minute. He does it, and he earns the point. That's the end of the competition, and Varun is declared the winner 5-2. So for humiliation, Sid must eat a sandwich. A sandwich where the bread was squeezed up against Varun's buttocks, where peanut butter was rubbed under one armpit and chocolate sauce rubbed under the other, then scraped onto the bread. Some olives are added for garnish. For some reason, olives are considered gross to these guys. Sid drank olive juice, among other things, before the Handcuffed competition to gross out Varun with his breath. And in the previous humiliation, Varun drank a concoction where one of the ingredients was olive juice before forcing Sid to endure his breath. I don't get it. Maybe it's a cultural thing. However, for Sid and Varun's first original non-copycat humiliation, not bad. Chef. But it's not called Chef. It's called Who Can Put Together a Better Meal. And like previous episodes, it has some rules to separate it from the KvS original. The meal must be put together with 500 rupees or less, and they get 3 hours in the kitchen maximum. So Varun plans to learn Italian cooking, and Sid plans to get his mother to do the cooking, and he will just present it as his own. Therefore, the first half of this episode, he just goes to restaurants to eat. He doesn't trick them into thinking he has a cooking show. He just goes to eat and he talks about how good it is. Eventually, Sid goes to his mother's house to collect what she has prepared. Varun goes first to cook his food at their apartment. Then Sid assembles what his mother prepared for him. Varun calls him out on it and says,
We have to cook the food ourselves.
Sid plays semantics about the competition being put together a better meal and not cook the better meal. So his meal should count because his mother made it and he put it together. And it's all for nothing anyway because the judges pick Varun as the winner. For humiliation, Varun spits in the food and he snorts a big chonker in the food. Like a big f***ing chonker. Then he mixes it up for Sid to eat. That's a f***ing 10 out of 10 humiliation right there, boy. Kenny ate a dry, flaky booger, but Sid ate a sloppy gob of snot. Look at that thing. Who has more guts? And I need to apologize because Varun was sick on this one, so they got Indian Richard Ramirez to fill in for him. This episode is cut from the same cloth as Bigger Balls, but it's different in its own way. Each challenge will have two options, one worth 20 points, one worth 5 points. The 20-point challenge will be harder. If a challenge is rejected, it cannot be reattempted, meaning if he fails the 20-point challenge, he cannot go back and attempt the 5-point challenge. And also, failing a challenge will result in no points. For 5 points, Varun rides a motorcycle through the mall. The first people he rides by are the security guards, who do nothing. Eventually, they do something. The next challenge is the Toilet of Death. Sid has to sit on a toilet outside a restaurant with a sign that says the food here is bad and put his family in the hospital. He earned 20 points for that. And now, save the duck. Varun will wade into a filthy body of water to collect a rubber duck. He fails the challenge. Sid will attempt bloody soil for 5 points. He soils a guy's clothes by pouring a bucket of nasty water on him and running away. Public kissing. Varun is going to kiss 5 men for 20 points. He finds the 5th one peeing at the same spot as that other guy from the other episode. The show even adds this sound effect. And then they touch each other all over. The next challenge for Sid will be ear licking. He licks one guy's ear for 20 points, and I think the guy liked it. Now Varun will suck on Sid's big toe for 20 points. The last challenge will be for Sid to search through garbage bins for a diamond. The score is tied at this point, so if he finds it, he'll win. Varun barely even hides the thing. He just kind of throws it in, and Sid just picks it off the top. Sid wins. For humiliation, Varun cleans up cow manure. Who can be a better fashion designer? Each guy will design 3 costumes. Total budget for costumes and models is 1,000 rupees. No begging or borrowing for costumes and accessories. Sid's models just kind of appear. He gets 2 women and a man to be his models. He takes regular clothes and he cuts them up into new designs. I thought he did a great job until I saw the male model come out in blue jeans and a pipe wrench. Varun is out on the street begging women to model for him. In the end, he can only find one man to be one of his 3 models, so he models for himself, and he gets a mannequin to be a 3rd model. They all come out in pirate costumes. Sid obviously wins, and he makes Varun go to the market wearing nothing but a towel and buy a new outfit. So we're in the final stretch here. There are 3 competitions which are unique to Sid versus Varun. Who can find better talent? The talent has to be original and undiscovered. Each guy will present 3 individual talents. The acts will compete, and the best 2 out of 3 will be the winner. We cannot pay anyone to participate. Varun has gone ahead of time and made posters to seek out talent, and eventually a long lineup of people are at his apartment to audition. Rubber Man, an impersonator, the one-man movie, lots of dancers, a balancing act, and a danger act. They just let the fire fill the room with smoke like it's completely normal. Only when it's impossible to breathe do they open the window. Varun picks one-man movie, Rubber Man, and Balancing Man to be his talent team. Sid's team just appears on his bed. A belly dancer, a magician, and a cheerleader. At this point, it's worth mentioning that many times on the show, the judges are just anybody that was available to be a judge. This guy is an electrician who likes girls and dislikes work. This lady is a housekeeper who likes old men and dislikes boys. Finally, we have a security guard who likes young girls and dislikes old women. What? So Balancing Man goes first, then Sid's cheerleader. The men get up and dance. The lady just scowls. Cheerleader wins this round. They give her a hat. Rubberman and Magician go next. Those guys are creeping over that little bit of skin showing. Ugh. Rubberman gets the win. Last up is One Man Movie and Belly Dancer. Who do you think this guy is going to pick? One Man Movie is supposed to stop after the buzzer, but he goes full power Jackie Chan. Then the belly dancer comes out and she's a real showstopper, so obviously they pick her. Sid wins 2 out of 3, and for humiliation, each of the judges and each of the girls from Sid's team get to chew a piece of gum and stick it to Varun. For their Christmas episode, they find out who can bully more people. Each person will choose the target they want to bully, then the bullying task will be provided by the other guy. You can't physically harm the target. Each guy gets a maximum of 10 tries for each task. Sid has to get someone to wear this reindeer mask and then ride them down the street. Varun has to walk a guy like a dog. Sid has to get people to dance like monkeys. Varun has to get someone to take a bath in public. Sid has to stop vehicles in the street and try to extort a road tax. And unfortunately, my copy of this episode is incomplete, and I couldn't find the last 5 minutes. That being said, the next episode is the last episode, and it has a montage of all the humiliations that Varun had to do this season. Episode 12 is not included in that montage, so I will extrapolate that data to mean they either tied or Sid lost. So let's move on to that last episode, which I was specifically saving for last. Who can sell more Ayurvedic sex medicine? So naturally, what's that? Ayurveda is a holistic system of medicine that originated in India. Herbal medicine, basically. You could probably buy this stuff from Goldfield. So the rules are, you can't buy the medicine yourself, nor can you lend money to friends for them to buy it. Each bottle has a fixed price of 40 rupees, and each guy has 50 packs to sell. And on the show it's called, get this, Power Tower 69. Varun recruits a woman to help him sell the medicine. I think it's his sister. He draws in a crowd and then he makes his pitch. He continues selling on the street like a ballpark hot dog guy. Eventually Varun sends his sister home because he goes to a place that he claims is not safe for her. A nightclub filled with men. Consistent with other episodes, Sid just has a crowd of people show up at his apartment so he can pitch a pyramid scheme. He even draws a f***ing pyramid on the whiteboard and then shows the base expanding, which represents each guy going out and scamming 3 recruits into joining. Sid expands his market by offering a free women-only massage if they buy a bottle of Power Tower 69. Naturally, an attractive woman shows up. Like, definitely not scripted or anything. She says that she will give the medicine to her friend, who will then give it to his friends. The guys that Sid scammed come back and want their money back, but he talks his way out of it, and the episode ends. Sid wins 39-15. I don't quite understand the humiliation here. The group of guys give Sid money, then on the count of 3, they all rush to take the items on the table. It just looked like cologne and paperwork and maybe some DVDs. And that's it. That's the end of Season 1, Sid vs. Varun. Was there a Season 2? I have no idea. The information available on this show is extremely limited. There was no Season 2 on the website. I downloaded these from years ago, and that website is long gone now. If you try Googling the show, you'll find a few articles relating to the show's original release, and a whole lot of information on a different Sid and Varun celebrity duo. So, how original was it? Is it shot for shot? Yes and no. There are certainly schemes and scenes that are emulated from the original. Adding weight, selling airtime, women are stupid. But the rest of it is fairly original, and they made reasonable attempts to differentiate themselves from KvS. A point structure in Piss Off that escalates according to victim aggression, limits on how much could be spent for the fashion show and the better meal, a completely different list of challenges to find out who has bigger balls, and tortures that are performed by one guy at a time. So no, I can't say that this is a shot-for-shot remake because it is reasonably different. Is it scripted? Mostly yes. Almost everything that takes place in the apartment is prearranged. Droves of women are not showing up to have Sid give them mediocre shoulder rubs. These guys for the pyramid scheme, these people buying airtime, this was all arranged ahead of time. Furthermore, the outcome is scripted. They do go out and participate in challenges, but Varun was always going to win who could make more money. Handcuffed was always going to be a tie. Varun was going to win torture. They're designed to produce the same outcome as KvS while following slightly different beats to get there. Are there any real parts? Yes. Anytime they exchange with members of the public, that's something real happening. The kids really panhandled. Varun really washed the cars. Sid really talked a stranger into getting on his hands and knees for this. Here's what I want you to take away. Yes, they actually did manual labor. They actually messed with the public, and they actually dressed up like women. Yes, the winner is usually predetermined. They're going to go out and they're going to do stuff for real, but then they're going to add the fake parts that they need to force a winner. Take money, for example. It's the easiest one to pick on. Sid's child hustlers are real. They panhandled the public. Varun doing all the manual labor is real, but towards the end they just repeated Kenny's beat about selling airtime and having to split the money. That's all fake and arranged. Then they need Varun to pull off this big win somehow, so he put money in the stock market. This is absolutely not how the stock market works. You do not go into someone's office at 10 a.m. and drop off some money and then return at 4 p.m. to pick up a pile of capital gains. Like I said, the winner is predetermined and we just have to get there. Real interactions are mixed in with fake scenes to create the final product. So you might say to me, oh, KvS does exactly the same thing. Not on this scale. Furthermore, in the case of KvS predetermined outcomes, there are a multitude of reasons for Spenny coming out the winner when it should have been Kenny. But the common denominator between them is that, unlike Sid versus Varun, Spenny didn't know he was going to win. Except for Rapper and Bigger Balls. Spenny knew he was going to win those ones. The Hindi TV article I mentioned earlier goes on to say, with our understanding of cultural differences, we have tailor-made Sid vs. Varun to appeal to Indian tastes and thus have created a show that we are sure will be an absolute hit with the youth, our target audience. So why didn't it work? Where do I even begin? I'll start with the easy, petty stuff, okay? The house is supposed to be a character. Look at all the different environments in KvS. We go from a runway, to a dungeon, to a jungle, to an office, to a cozy living room. This place looks like a shitty break room in a shitty warehouse. The secondary and tertiary characters are non-existent. This guy is Indian Brendan. His name is Avnet, and this is his only line.
Alright guys, it's a draw.
Varun goes to see a trainer, but he's not the grandiose, larger-than-life type person that Florida Jack was. It's just some guy. No Goldfield, no Spenny's mom, no Wolfish, no Bobby. I guess you could say we see Sid's mom momentarily, and she does help her son cheat, but she's certainly not the character that Zafi is. You could also argue that this is Indian Bianca, but she has no exchanges with Sid, and the chemistry isn't there. Furthermore, there are no Kenny characters. No Maurice, no Silencio, no Goldar. Well, how petty do I want to be? I am the autistic analysis guy. Even the little things like the color scheme in the title sequence are wrong. Spenny, or Varun with the long hair, is supposed to be the blue. Sid with the devil horns should be the red. Furthermore, Sid should be sitting on the camera left side of the couch. Varun should be on the right. Let's get down to brass tacks here. There is a problem that some might consider minor, but it has a ripple effect on the success of one show versus the failure of the other. Music. Absolutely none of the KvS music is used in this format. And the reason that is so significant is because the choice of music on KvS is a part of the chain reaction of comedy. It's a part of the setup for the jokes. In Sid vs. Varun, there is no immature audio-visual juxtaposition of Mozart, Strauss, and Prokofiev with butt cheeks, horseplay, or wieners. What I'm trying to say is that one of the major themes of KvS is missing here, the juxtaposition of serious and silly. The second big problem with Sid vs. Varun is that these guys are not character emulations of Kenny and Spenny. Sid is not the cunning master debater with 1,000 schemes up his sleeve. He rarely cheats, and when he does, it's like he's trying to get caught so the show can have more content. He duct-taped phones to his back, and he got his mom to cook. There's no grand schemes, no master plans, no drugging in Lose Weight, no Wolfish in Handcuffed, no Uncle Jules in Convincing Woman, no Jesus Sucks banner in Piss Off. There's no insults to Varun or his mother. He makes a simple donation box instead of slandering his friend as a streetwalker. Varun has no progression from Boy Scout to self-loathing to embracing the haters. He's just some guy. There's no anger and frustration, no cynicism, no narcissism, no skepticism or paranoia. He's just some guy competing with his friend, which is another thing. Why do I care about these guys? They're just two buddies fooling around doing competitions. They're having fun. They're not supposed to have fun. Sid is supposed to have fun, and Varun is supposed to hate every minute that he has to be there. There's no reason for me to invest my time in watching their character development because their characters don't develop. One of the reasons for that is because they're too young. Kenny was 36, 37 when they filmed season 1. Spenny was 40, 41. They need life experience to build that homogenous rivalry. Success, failure, betrayal, abandonment. 20-somethings out of high school haven't had enough life experiences to build that kind of relationship. That was a lot of complaining. Is there anything that I like? I like that there are almost no episodes where the guys venture off and do their own thing. I like that the challenges are presented for one guy by the other guy, like in Bully. And I like that for at least a few episodes they retained the element of Kenny's t-shirts, emergency sex services with a couple 69ing. I can't read the words here, but 2 pigs banging, and of course, wife for sale. Who is to blame for this failure? Kenny has articulated in multiple interviews that the spin-off guys just didn't get it. All of them. India, Colombia, Turkey, Germany. The only ones who were close were Ed and Spencer, but so far that's lost media. I've been unsuccessful in locating it so far. And the time and effort that I've invested to do so is akin to Spamerica looking for Versusville. Kenny went on to indicate that for international formats, they would often film Who Can Stay Awake the Longest first to figure out if the guys were willing to do the work. If they weren't willing to stay up for a few days, then the guys would have to be recast and reshoot the episode. Here's my bone to pick. Recast. Kenny was supposed to be directing the production of these shows, or at least overseeing it to make sure that they got it right. He knew better than anyone that the relationship between the guys is the most important part of the show. It can't be done with 2 guys who are friends palling around having fun. It must be done with 2 guys who are bonded enough to form that happy versus unhappy dynamic. Why didn't Kenny take control of that aspect and demand better guys? Now, nothing would make me happier than both Kenny and Spenny filming respective commentaries that would supplement this analysis. Not only to answer that question, but also to provide their own insight to Sid versus Varun. Did you guys go to India? Why is there no KvS music? Did my video jog any memories that you could share with us? Between this video and your potential response, that's all we'll ever know about the Indian spin-off of KvS. So please, Kenny, Spenny, Sebi too, the ball is in your court. Tell us everything you can about Sid versus Varun. As always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to help the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.